The fleet that refused to kneel. 50 words. The Galactic Concord had catalogued humanity as a footnote. Species. 7192. Industrial aggressive. Emotionally unstable. Useful for trade. Dangerous only to itself. That judgment would soon cost them entire star systems. The invasion began at the edge of Sol space, where the void thinned into human territory. The Varkol Ascendancy fleet emerged from slipspace like a moving night. 10,000 warships, layered in obsidian armor, weapons glowing with the confidence of civilizations that had never lost a war. They had crushed empires older than Earth's oceans. Humanity, barely spacefaring by their standards, was expected to fall in days. Instead, the humans did something illogical. They did not broadcast surrender. They did not plead. They did not retreat. They advanced. Admiral Elias Rowan stood on the bridge of the UNSF Resolute, watching the enemy fleet fill the tactical display. Every sensor screamed danger. Every probability model predicted extinction. Around him stood ships crewed by dozens of nations, languages different, flags forgotten, purpose unified. Fleet status, Rowan said calmly. Outnumbered 12-1, replied Commander Aisha Khan. Enemy, tech superiority, estimated at 70%. Rowan nodded. Good. She blinked. Good, sir. Yes, he said. Means they expect us to fight like everyone else. The human fleet moved forward in tight, disciplined formations. Old naval doctrine adapted to the stars. But beneath that order hid something the galaxy had never truly understood. Human adaptability. Their ships were modular, patched together with layers of redundant systems. Where alien fleets relied on perfection, humans relied on survival. The first exchange lit the void. Varkol plasma lances tore through space, vaporizing 3 human cruisers instantly. The Concord observers marked it as the beginning of the end. Then the human ships exploded on purpose. Shattered hulls blossomed into clouds of debris, scattering reflective chaff and electromagnetic chaos. Enemy targeting systems stuttered. In that single moment of confusion, humanity struck back, not with elegance but with brutality. Kinetic slugs the size of buildings slammed into Varkol destroyers. Missiles burned past shields tuned for energy weapons, detonating inside enemy formations. Boarding pods, obsolete by galactic standards, punched through hulls, carrying humans who fought in vacuum with nothing but magnetic boots and stubborn will. Enemy fleet destabilizing, Khan said, disbelief creeping into her voice. Rowan allowed himself a thin smile. They don't understand us yet. Across the battlefield, the Varkol commanders struggled. Their strategies assumed fear, assumed self-preservation, assumed surrender once losses mounted. But humans had crossed a line long ago, one written into their history by predators, disasters, and each other. They did not fight to win. They fought because refusing to. The moment the galaxy hesitated, the Varkol Ascendancy had never known confusion. For 10,000 cycles, their fleets advanced and civilizations broke. Strategy was certainty. Numbers were law. Fear was universal. Yet as their sensor arrays recalibrated after the first engagement, something impossible appeared in the data streams. Human ships were changing. Destroyed vessels were not losses in the way the Varkol understood them. Wreckage was being harvested. Mid-battle, salvage drones stripping armor from the dead, reassembling it onto damaged hulls while weapons still fired. Damaged cruisers fell back, not to retreat but to reconfigure. New weapon profiles appeared without warning. Shield frequencies shifted faster than predictive models could adapt. This is illogical, hissed High Strategist Carvex, his frilled crest pulsing in agitation. They should be collapsing. Instead, the human fleet grew more dangerous with every passing minute. The godlike flagship remained motionless above Earth, a radiant constant in the chaos. Its presence alone distorted enemy projections. Varkol commanders avoided targeting it, not from calculation but from instinct. Something ancient in their minds whispered caution. Then the message arrived. Not a threat, not a boast. A statement. We have analyzed your weapons. Thank you for the data. Across the battlefield, human tactics shifted again. Energy shields tuned precisely to Varkol. Plasma wavelengths bloomed across the fleet. Casualties dropped instantly. Where alien beams once cut cleanly through hulls, they now splashed harmlessly into shimmering light. The Varkol responded with heavier firepower. Entire formations focused on a single human battleship determined to erase it. The ship did not flee. Its armor peeled away in controlled layers, revealing a dense core built to endure impossible punishment. It absorbed the barrage, then released it back, not as energy, but as mass. Captured plasma was converted, condensed, and hurled outward in a gravitational pulse that folded 3 Varkle cruisers into twisted wreckage. The conquered observers fell silent. Humanity was not merely resisting. They were learning at combat speed. Boarding actions multiplied. Human Marines breached alien vessels and did something unthinkable. They sabotaged reactors without destroying the ships. Captured technology vanished into jump flashes, stolen in the middle of battle. Why do they take instead of annihilate? A Varkle commander demanded. Karvex finally understood. They are preparing, he whispered. This is not defense. This is rehearsal. Above Earth, the flagship awakened. Its radiant core intensified, light cascading outward like the opening of a cosmic eye. Space itself bent around it. Every sensor screamed overload. Targeting reticles failed. Communication fractured under waves of unknown energy. A final human transmission echoed across all channels. Calm, precise, terrifying.
Why the void remembers. The hesitation lasted only seconds, but in war, seconds decide extinction. The godlike flagship above Earth completed its charge. The radiant core at its heart stabilized, collapsing infinite calculations into a single, deliberate outcome. This was not a superweapon in the way the galaxy understood such things. There was no wild discharge, no desperate gamble. It was control. Across the human fleet, systems synchronized. Every surviving ship, every captured alien module, every salvaged fragment of wreckage became part of a unified equation. Humanity did not rely on one perfect strike. They relied on coordination born from chaos. Admiral Rowan watched the tactical display converge into simplicity. "Begin phase black," he said. Space folded, not violently, precisely. Invisible corridors of distorted gravity lanced outward from the flagship, threading through the Varkle formations like needles through cloth. Warships found their drives locked, their inertial dampeners fighting forces they were never designed to counter. Formations broke apart as vessels were dragged out of alignment, their own mass betraying them. The Varkle fired everything they had. It didn't matter. Human ships moved through the distortion like swimmers in a familiar current. Their engines adapted in real time, compensating instinctively. What the aliens had mastered through rigid doctrine, humans mastered through improvisation. Then the counterstroke came. Kinetic weapons struck from impossible angles. Missiles emerged from folded space inside enemy screens. Captured Varkle. Cannons, now human-controlled, turned and fired on their former allies. Entire command ships vanished, not in explosions, but in sudden silence as space-time sealed behind them. Panic spread through the Ascendancy fleet. Orders contradicted each other. Retreat vectors collapsed. Slipspace drives failed to engage, their calculations poisoned by human interference. "Disengage!" Karvex screamed. "Fall back, now!" Too late. The flagship's light dimmed, not from exhaustion, but from completion. The gravitational corridors released. Space snapped back into place. What remained of the Varkle armada drifted broken and powerless. Their survivors trapped in cold orbit, alive but defeated. Human ships did not pursue. They stopped. Salvage vessels moved in. Rescue craft followed, not only for humans, but for enemies as well. Weapons powered down. The battlefield went quiet, save for the crackle of cooling hulls and distant stars. A final message was transmitted, not just to the Varkle, but to the entire Galactic conquered. We do not seek conquest. We seek survival. Learn this. When humanity fights, it is never for dominance. It is because something precious stands behind us. Earth rotated beneath its guardian, untouched. The conquered updated its archives that day. Species 7192 was removed. In its place, a single line was added. Humanity, Adaptive Class Apex. Status, Do Not Provoke.